I've been running into. Spanning tree has always been annoying, but it hasn't been that much of a hindrance, except now that you move into the new cloud data center architectures, you have this east-west traffic flow demands, and with Spanning Tree, typically, if you have your core as your root, then it kills all of your east-west links. So I think that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, and you have bottlenecks there at the top that you have to manage.
So now Cisco's dominated the networking industry, and for enterprise, I'm mostly focused on enterprise here, and Cisco's been roughly around 80% overall market share in networking. Now, I think OpenFlow is going to create an inflection point, and some significant transitions could happen in the industry. Do you see this as an inflection point that can help you to compete against Cisco specifically, or the other market leaders?
Yeah, we're very excited about the OpenFlow release. We think that this provides more choice for customers. And we think that this is going to be something that all customers are going to want to look at for data center deployments. So there are lots of choices, and the goal really here is for NEC customers to have more choice and more flexibility in how they deploy their data centers.
So NEC has a robust networking portfolio, and I think in North America there's just not a lot of awareness of your networking portfolio. From what I understand, Europe and other parts of the world, it's a very well-known set of products. Is this a change in your marketing efforts for North America? Or are you going to have an increased focus on becoming a big network player in North America for enterprise?
We began working with Stanford on OpenFlow 3 years ago because we saw the potential really to change the way networking is done, the way it's bought and built. And based on that, 18 months ago we began developing products. We've had over 200 people working on building this infrastructure product. So we are now moving in the global stage with this global product because we think it's differentiated and really adds a lot of value.
Now, as far as your go-to-market model in North America, are you going to be announcing any new partnerships? What's your approach to attacking accounts in North America?
We will, because OpenFlow is really a multi-vendor approach. We will be working very diligently with other platform vendors in order to show interoperability. And then on the application stack, because we have a centralized API, there can be new applications built on top of that. So we're going to be very aggressively working with partners, technology partners to build that.
Now, as I understand it, and I'm not the guru in OpenFlow yet, working on it, right? But OpenFlow's 1.1 standard is really about standardizing the interface between the hardware and the controller. Now, what about from the controller, the network operating system, northbound? You mentioned there's APIs into the network operating system. Is there a standard right now for that? Is it a standards-based API, or is it still something that NEC has defined?
Yeah, so this is our own definition. And really it's going to be based on the services that customers want. So the individual APIs will really depend on the different services that the controller vendors provide.
As I understand it, ONF with the NOx controller, they're working on trying to standardize the northbound API from the network operating system or from the controller. Are you participating in that, and when do you see that happening, or do you?
So there are a lot of talks right now, but nothing really formal in terms of API. We are very involved in the work being done in ONF, and we'll continue to support standardization of northbound APIs so that we can create a new ecosystem around software that's built on top of these OpenFlow networks. In our view, there is a great deal of value to be added to building on top of the network infrastructure. Customers don't want to build their network state to manage that. They want to have the capabilities exposed as an API. so they can control that.
And I think it's important, and I really think standardization is important in that layer. One of the challenges that I see as the industry's moved towards more of these cloud-based paradigms, is that your typical enterprise, they're implementing VMware or another hypervisor-based solution, and that's taken the access layer of the network where policy is typically applied. And what I've seen in practice is that most enterprises outside of the very largest are not applying network policy anymore, because the traditional thing, we're deploying a new application. So what does that mean is for the network administrator? It means I've got to go learn the IP addresses of all the hosts. I need to learn the port numbers. I need to learn all this static information and then apply a static policy. And in a dynamic environment, that model doesn't fit. In rapid provisioning, it doesn't fit. So I've kind of had thinking the way that it's going to go is that an application could dynamically deliver its network parameters to a controller through an API. Is that how you see things?
Yeah, that's what we strongly believe, that we need to have a virtualized network interface, so that the mapping is done virtually, and the hygienic, and the mapping is done virtually, and the ability to change things is done at the physical layer without making changes to the virtual logic.
Well, I think one of the big reasons why OpenFlow has taken hold, or there's been a lot of initiatives to open and standardize networking for years, is because I think we're at a point now in application development. How you doing? Pleasure. Oh, sorry.
I want to interrupt you. You're filming, I see.
We're at a point in application development where large application developers, particularly with cloud and with mobility, are starting to realize, hey, our applications need to be able to talk to the network to get information about location and presence. And so I think with one of the big differences in OpenFlow and pushing OpenFlow is Google, Facebook, Yahoo, Amazon. They're no longer leaving the destiny of the network to the networking companies, and now I think that's going to lead into the standardizing of these interfaces. Now, in paradigms like Hadoop, like a controller takes individual jobs and it tries to forward it to the nearest node, and it uses some very basic network information to find nodes that are close. Do you have any insight into some future, as this northbound interface standardizes from the network operating system, what application possibilities do you think are going to be enabled through OpenFlow?
Yeah, so flow-based networking provides us a much better context to understand what's going on in the network. Today we do sampling of the individual devices and then try to piece that story together. It's difficult and it's patchy. We don't get a full picture of what's going on. With a flow-based network, we know end-to-end what's going on in the network and can make better decisions about how workloads are placed and potential problems in the network.
And there's another age-old problem that I'm hoping OpenFlow over time will be able to address, in that when there's a problem with an application, you have the application administrator, you have the network administrator, and they're both pointing fingers at each other, right? It's the application's fault, the network's fault. And I see if the application can talk to the network controller, it'll enable a new level of diagnostics in that we should be, conceivably, we could be able to really understand if an application performance problem has to do with the network or not. Do you see that as a...
It's a great point, yeah. So we talk a lot about integrating into the other systems so that there's much better visibility into what's going on into the larger picture.
Very good.
And did you talk to him already about visualization and how that works?
Yeah.